My experience with the censor board, and I'm not trying to be nice about this, I really expected a nightmare, but it wasn't. They were not giving us any concessions, but they were not making our life unnecessarily difficult. They had empathy, but they were also very clear. I have been observing Bobby of late, and right from class of 83, he made an impact on me. He could play very interesting characters, which were leading men. That change really swayed me into thinking about Bobby. Animal had not released when we were discussing Bobby's name.
So this is pre-Animal.
This is pre-Animal. Budgets, ticket prices. Somewhere we have lost sight of that. It is not a product of mass entertainment anymore. It's a very expensive proposition to go to the theatres and to watch a film. The theatre exhibitors are very clear that this is the pricing they need to make money. I think they're not being very pragmatic about it.
What can you tell us about Naagin? I mean, that's a question that keeps coming to you, given the fact that ever since... Nikhil, welcome to Variety India.
Thank you.
He's very clear sometimes in terms of how he wants to set his film, the mood of it, where he wants to take his characters. When you have writers who are also writing these characters or writing the story, I'm asking you from a producer's POV because it would be interesting for us to get a sneak peek into what goes into making certain decisions when you reach that point. You'll cross the bridge when you come there is what we usually say. What was your takeaway from when you crossed those bridges during Bandar at these important junctures of what we are discussing? How did Kashyap, you and the writers cross these bridges? Or did you then completely surrender it and let him take over?
No, as a personality, I don't surrender. Producers shouldn't surrender, especially if they are creative producers. My writers were very strong too. Sudip Sharma is a writer, director in his own right. He's created Patal Lok, he's directed Kohra, and they are all very... so I don't think he's also the kinds who would surrender. We did have passionate debates. I do not find any issue with those kind of debates. And I'm not trying to be politically correct here. Passionate debates should happen, especially in a subject where a single point of view may not be the norm, because it's written by strong directors. It is being backed by a producer who may have some creative instinct about how it should be, and then you have a director who's an extremely strong voice himself and has made very strong films. It's not like his track record or body of work is of flimsy work. He's made some substantial films, and those are good films. So we had a lot of debates. We had a lot of conversations, and eventually we were aligned, and that's what mattered.
For anybody who perhaps is producing for the first time, or maybe just for you yourself, is there anything new you discovered or you learned as a producer?
That one needs to preserve the writer's point of view as well. And sometimes when there are strong point of views, it does become a lengthy process to try to bring everybody on the table, but it will have to be done. One can't lose patience with it. The producer's job is to be extremely patient. I've learned patience in a good way. There were times when you felt that, because you're also equally frightened, what if this is the correct point of view, and what you are trying to present or trying to support a point of view which you may be more aligned to at that point of time may not work out.
So then what does one do?
Then finally you just pray and let your instinct prevail. Or sometimes you just back off and also listen. There have been times when we have all just listened to the director, because the director is a respected individual who more often than not knows what he is talking about.
So there is no middle ground then, is what you're trying to say, is that you, during the making of Bandar, the one thing that perhaps you realize what you're saying is the fact that, you know, you definitely have your POV, he has his POV.
Sometimes what you talk about is the order of the scenes or the storytelling aspect. When you're trying to make a larger point of view, maybe those are discussed. But in any case, the scenes should be what the script says. I think it's an easygoing process once you have a bound script. So, but you cannot deny the fact that as a producer, there is the CBFC and the censor board to take care of, and the guidelines are pretty stringent and strict, and there is law which governs, and sometimes one does worry, how is it going to be taken? My experience with the censor board, and I'm not trying to be nice about this, I really expected a nightmare, but it wasn't. They want to see your film release faster and as well as you had imagined it to be, but their hands are tied too. The law and the guidelines will need to change, and that is at the level of the government. They are just following guidelines,
Right.
and they try to help you as much as they can, but when they can't, and we have to live with it. So that does become a little problematic.
So, I mean, the censor board is trying to make your life easy, contrary to belief.
Yeah, so no, they were really good. They were really nice, and they were not giving us any concessions, but they were not making our life unnecessarily difficult. They had empathy, but they were also very clear. And at times it's extremely frustrating, Tushar, because you're like, why can't you see our point of view? But when I was used to be on my way back home, I used to understand that, listen, they are not trying to stall us. They are not trying to put any roadblock. They are trying to accommodate, but they can't. And I think we need to stop fighting them as an organization, as an institution which is against us. We go with that preconceived notion that they are here to hamper creativity.
The bad guys.
So we don't like them automatically. You have gone into that meeting already with a certain dislike. I think it's not required.
Oh, I'm really stumped over by this analogy and take on the censor board, because rightfully till this point in time I always felt that they are here to make every producer's life miserable. That is not the case. Like you said, they're going by the guidelines.
They're going by
until the guidelines don't change, their hands are tied.
You change the guidelines.
Correct.
And say everything is allowed, everything will be allowed.
Correct. Let's speak a bit about the face of Bandar. What an interesting casting choice. I think I remember my first time I saw the teaser, the poster, and I saw Bobby Deol on it, and I was like, interesting, but I really want to see how this plays out, because this man has come out of so many different, he's worn so many skins in the last few years, and he's absolutely hit it out of the ballpark in every possible role, right? Was that your decision, and how did Kashyap take to it?
Bobby was my suggestion, Anurag's decision. The directors usually cast, but yes, I did suggest Bobby's name. I have been observing Bobby of late, and right from class of 83, he made an impact on me. I felt that he's changed as an artist. He's bringing something on the table which was very unique, a lot of hard work, a lot of trying to understand that he doesn't need to be the typical Hindi film leading man hero anymore, and he could play very interesting characters which were leading men in those films. That change really swayed me into thinking about Bobby. Animal had not released when we were discussing Bobby's name.
So this is pre-Animal.
This is pre-Animal. And I suggested Bobby's name to Anurag, who jumped at it and said I would meet Bobby, and he took it over from there. Rest, all the casting was done by Anurag. He thought of every single artist and why he would want them. And very interestingly, I remember he saying, I want Sanya as the sister. And I was like, would Sanya do it? He said, I'll ask her, because she has curly hair and Bobby has curly hair. I need curly hair, brother and sister, they have to play brother and sister, I need curly hair. So that's how he cast.
But it's so freeing for Bobby to, like you rightly said, not have the pressures of then falling into that bracket, and I think that's why he's having so much fun. He's literally having fun in all of these films. But on a serious note, he's so disciplined. You can tell by the way he sort of, whether it's physically he transforms or the time he gives. What were the questions that he asked you, or what were the conversations he had with you to get in the Bandar skin?
I think the first question that he asked was, will it be okay for me to do this? He said, I want to work with Anurag since a very long time. I wanted to work with you, but are you sure about this part? I said, that's a decision that you'll have to take. But I think he said, I want to meet Anurag. I told Anurag about Bobby after checking with Bobby, whether he would like to do the film. Anurag went and met him the next day, and they both had already agreed to do the film. And from there on, Bobby had no questions really. He had just surrendered. He had surrendered to Anurag Kashyap. He said, Anurag, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And that's how he did the film. And I know that nobody really expected Bobby to do this. When people thought that Anurag Kashyap has cast Bobby Deol for Bandar, yes, everybody had this very skeptical outlook that Bobby Deol, Soldier and Gupt, Anurag Kashyap, Devdi and Ugly, works with art house actors. There was no synergy. But I really am telling you, it's not hindsight. I knew there would be synergy. I could see Bobby's transformation.
Where do you think that, you know, the switch flipped on Bobby? Because you're rightly saying this, that I do feel that something has changed over the last few years with him and the way he approaches his craft. Not that he was not doing all these things before, but there is something that he's hungry for, some kind of roles that he wants to try his hand at different things, and he will just go for it like a hungry lion if he gets that.
You know, people, lack of success transforms people in two ways. The one is the wrong way, they become bitter, they have a lot of angst, and they blame the entire world for it. And the other is that you say that I'm going to change a few things about myself, and I'm going to strive, and I'm going to try to succeed, because I need that respect. I think Bobby did it for invoking respect from his own friends, peers, family members, spouse, children, is what I feel. And he just transformed. The transformation has happened because of the need and the want to do better.
Yeah.
In some way I can relate to it, because I have been at that receiving end myself. And the only way I could have imagined it to be better was to work harder.
You know, Dhurandhar obviously worked big ways in theatres. As a producer, I want to just pick your brain and ask you a couple of things that perhaps the industry is discussing when you're sitting and greenlighting projects, or you're in a boardroom with writers, or you're being sent something to commission and say yes to. What's the kind of conversation that's happening right now? Are things getting better in terms of projects taking off? Where are we at now?
Or definitely better. Definitely better, but there's going to be no blind greenlighting. Post-pandemic, the scenario has changed. The audiences have changed. Their wants and desires have changed. That shift has happened. We need to accept it. Are the people still flocking to the theatres? Definitely yes. A lot of films have worked. Not just Animal worked. Mr. Anand Rai's film worked with Dhanush and Kriti Sanon just before Dhurandhar came. Dhurandhar worked. Post-Dhurandhar, Border worked. Post-Border, Dhurandhar 2 worked. So there is definitely business. People are buying tickets. They're going to the theatres and they're buying tickets. There are no two ways about it. They need to like that product. They need to want to go and watch it. They need to like the trailer. They need to like the teaser. They need to like the material that is promising them a good time in the theatres. There's definitely business, but they're expecting quality. They're expecting us to work harder. We'll have to.
There was this whole thought that there's churning happening, the old is being thrown out, new is coming in, new ways of working, new energy, new talent, formulas are broken down, audience is not taking anything for granted, and you can't take them for granted either. It's great then to also step back and look and be like, okay, is this the right thing to invest money and talent in? What would you say are the immediate 3 things that perhaps we still haven't done, which we can do, and which you think are still, it's still bleeding the industry?
Budgets, ticket pricing. This was a product of mass entertainment. Somewhere we have lost sight of that. It is not a product of mass entertainment anymore. The masses are consuming it on television, your film. It's a very expensive proposition to go to the theatres and to watch a film. I don't think they're doing any justice to their product. The theatre exhibitors are very clear that this is the pricing they need to make money. I think they're not being very pragmatic about it. Producers are succumbing because they may not have the unified clout to fight this out with the programmers and the exhibitors. But I feel that this is you can't be spending 400 rupees on a ticket for a person. Theatre going experience for a family makes them poorer by about 2,000 to 4,000 rupees. Not okay. I think then the budgets that we are making the films in, I think everybody involved needs to understand, and that happened because of the studio system. They were flush with funds, and when they came in, they just wanted, because they needed to have a certain amount of films in the kitty per year, and they were ready to give top dollar, not understanding if that doling out that top dollar will also result in recovering that money from the theatres. And they were okay to make losses on certain films because they had deep pockets. Earlier, Tushar, the individual producer didn't have a choice. Put in the capital with a lot of difficulty. Either he borrowed money at exorbitant rates of interest, or he had to take it from financiers who had already bought the territory out, or in some cases even mortgage his own property and wares to invest in a film. He or she ensured that the quality of the film was really good, because till the point he felt he can't do any better is what he strived for. Great scripts, great music, to cast it right, trying to get a saleable director. And that's why the star system, because you had to get an artist who could fetch a certain recovery at the box office, because it was your own hard-earned money that you were putting in to make a film. That was a traditional producer for you. He obviously curtailed the costs. He wasn't as flamboyant in things that didn't appear on screen.
Right.
So there were no private aircrafts flying around. There was no entourage. There were not 20 vanity vans. It was all a little, we were a little simpler about these things because it was your own individual money that was going in. I think with the corporate money, though it is also at an advantage for filmmaking, it has also brought in certain disadvantages. Also, artists are not ready to understand that, are they asking for a price because they know the producer and director doesn't have a choice and there will be no project
If they say no.
if they are not participating in it? Are they even cognizant of the fact that whatever money I'm asking for, the producer will make that money from the opening that I fetch at the box office? Will I be able to sell that many tickets? Will I be commanding that many people and the footfall into the theatres? I don't think they have any empathy for that fact. I think they must. Because I would like to believe any self-respecting so-called star would say that if that's the money I'm asking for, then that's the number of people I'll ensure will come to watch my film on Friday, and then it's the quality of the film, which may not be in his hands completely.
Yeah.
They're also the first to take the blame. But the quality of the films may not often be only in their hands. They are just expressing what has been told to them.
Right.
But to bring in people on Friday is primarily a star's job. They can't absolve themselves from that responsibility, and their paycheck has to reflect that.
I love these insights because I think you're also a very young producer, I mean, you've been an actor, you've seen that part of the industry, now you're wearing the producer's hat, you're dealing with different woes, I believe. There are two films that have sort of made headlines in the world right now. One is Obsessions and the other is Backrooms. Both directed by 20-year-olds. One is a 20-year-old director and the other is almost a 26, 27-year-old director. Why do we not have young directors in our country?
Well, that's also because as a society, I think the young boys are becoming men a little later now in life. We had a host of young directors. Sooraj Barjatya ji, he was 21 when he made, 22 when he made Maine Pyar Kiya. I think Aditya Chopra was quite young when he did Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. E. Nivas, who made Shool, received his first national award at 23. Ramesh Sippy was 23 when he made Andaz. By the time he was directing Sholay, he was already only 25. He made the biggest film of the country at the age of 25 or 26. That was the norm. But I also believe that was the society at those times. By the time you had turned 21, 22, you were already a man. Today at 21, 22, you're still fumbling and stumbling and
figuring out.
You still have a very protected. I think it's also to do a lot with parenting and how we have changed as
upbringing,
people.
yes.
Yes. So by the time they are becoming men to direct something, or women to direct something, it's already they've reached their 30s. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. I can't really understand why not.
Speaking of how we can make things better, the other question that's obviously making headlines right now is, what if tomorrow an actor and a director or a producer gets into a legal hassle where an actor decides to leave a project that he's committed to, and both of them have their own POVs of where they're at. The industry doesn't really have a standalone legal point to go to that can intervene and take cognizance of what has happened. We do have multiple bodies. As a producer and someone who perhaps one day, I hope not, might face this, what are your thoughts?
If it reaches a dispute which can't be dealt with emotionally and has only got a legal solution, there is no other option but to be in the court of India. No body or association, though everyone requires representation, cannot run a parallel court and decide on behalf of any dispute. It just can't happen. We don't have a law like that. What associations, however, can do is ensure that our agreements and contracts have particular clauses which the artist will have to sign. It is not left to an individual producer to convince the actor or his legal team that if you don't sign this, we are not going ahead, and vice versa. The artists' associations can compel the producers to put in certain clauses in the artist's agreement to protect their interest. Eventually, your agreements have to be watertight, which is protecting all the parties. How will it be a watertight contract? Sometimes, if I am a smaller producer, I may not have that voice to convince the legal team of a superstar, if at all that superstar is working with that small-time producer, that listen, this is a clause that I want, that in case you leave this film a month before we are about to go on floors, you will adequately compensate me. Which artist would sign it? No one would.
Right.
They'll say, get lost, I'm not doing your film. And the producer, in that fear that I would lose the artist and the project, would sign any agreement in favor of the artist. But if the association compels every artist and says, no, you cannot treat my smaller producer like this, and you'll have to sign it because it's a standard template that we have ensured that all producers need to follow.
Right.
Things would change. That is where the muscle of the associations and representation can come in. The associations and representation cannot, in my opinion, say, this is how it will be, you'll have to solve your dispute because we are saying so, or we'll not allow you to work. That just can't happen because that's not the law of the land. The law of the land says you or I cannot stop each other or someone else from earning their livelihood. So anything which is unlawful, we shouldn't be announcing in the first place because it won't hold. But what the association can do, what FWICE can do, what the Directors Association can do, what the Producers Association can do, what CINTA can do, is probably make a standard template of agreements and say these particular clauses cannot be touched. Rest you can have whatever you want is an understanding between. But this is something that an artist will have to sign.
Right.
That unless mutually agreed upon and the producer is letting go of the artist or the artist is leaving a film, you know, there are so many times that even artists are asked to leave the film at the last moment. It's happened with me. So many times I've been replaced just 2 days before a film shoot because somebody more saleable came around. So that happens with the artists too. It's not like, so where was CINTA then? Trying to ensure that the artist would not be dumped at the last moment. So I think associations need to ensure that everyone's interest is protected if they are serious about protecting interest. If it is just a body because it wakes up when a press conference has to be given and because you want that little moment of power at that particular time, I don't think that's a nice thing. One needs to be honest because these associations and representation actually is very, very important. It is a necessity for those who may not have much voice in the movie industry when they're still at a stage where they need someone to speak on their behalf.
Yeah.
So this association and representation becomes extremely important. I don't find them, a lot of people say, oh, what is their power? I don't know whether they have power or not. But I do believe that they are necessary.
I'm loving the fact that people are celebrating original stories coming out in a year which is packed with sequels and prequels and franchises and remixes and all of that. And that also leads to the conversation that is there lack of original stories has it been a while?
No, I don't believe it,
No?
Tushar, because a sequel has to be an original story. Only the plot is not original. The screenplay has to be again new. Everything has to end. And if it's not interesting enough, they don't work. Even if I have to make a sequel to any of my films that I've done in the past, I need to invest enough hard work in creating that screenplay. It is not the plot which drives something ahead. It's the screenplay of the film that drives another film ahead. It's the same kind of hard work. And maybe India had not come of age to understand the importance of franchises and sequels, because that was not the culture, that's not how we consumed cinema.
Content, yeah.
Of course, because we are in touch globally with cinema, and obviously everything that has come into the West reaches us eventually a little later. So sequels have become the order of the day. A bunch of creative people put in that labor and hard work to create the first part. If they want to reap dividends of it in the second part and the third part, why not? हम सब नाम के भूखे हैं. हमें नाम कमाना था. हम जब बड़े बड़े एक्टर्स और स्टार्स को देखते थे तो वो लालच and that greed to be like one of them. You want to be a star, you want to be successful, you want to be famous. That little bit of fame comes by when your work which is out in the public domain is applauded, appreciated.
What can you tell us about Naagin? I mean, that's a question that keeps coming to you, given the fact that ever since.
No, we are, I know I've said it a few times in the past, but we are really close to Naagin now. The script is complete. The script is complete.
There's an Axilla being made. So
yeah, I know. No, but ours is really different. And Saket Chaudhary is the director, and we are on the verge and the anvil of it. So I'll just wait a little bit more, and I will request everyone to be a tad bit more patient, and you'll see Naagin happening very soon.
Again, a very different universe, world. Very, very
exciting. I love it. I'm very excited.
I know the first time you spoke and you were like, I'm dying to make a Naagin. I can see the passion.
And now that the script is ready, I'm just very eager.